What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. I usually don't post videos this late, but I will be tonight because the first day of on-field work for the NFL Scouting Combine has just concluded a little more than an hour ago, and I want to talk about it for a little bit here. So, day one of on-field work, it consisted of edge rushers, defensive ends in general, defensive tackles, and linebackers. So obviously, the defensive end, the edge rusher crew is very intriguing to us. Defensive tackles, not really super interesting for Seahawks fans this year. And then linebacker, that one's kind of interesting because we don't really need a linebacker, but it's a really good linebacker class. So I kind of go both ways there. But let's take a look at some of the highlights, some of the winners and losers of today's combine, and go from there. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app and some new functionality they've recently rolled out, Team Picks. With Team Picks, you can pick winners in all kinds of sporting events. Right now, we have NBA basketball, college basketball, NHL hockey is going on, baseball's going to start in a little more than a month, and of course, you have futures in the NFL, even though the games in the NFL are over. Right now, if you look to my left here, you can actually see you can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They've got the Seahawks leading the way in those odds, by the way, at 12%. How does that make you feel as a Seahawks fan? But you can bet on MVP, you can bet on draft picks, you can bet on player destinations, all kinds of fun stuff, even though the season is over. So that is Team Picks over on Sleeper. A lot of fun stuff you can do. All right, so let's start with the defensive ends or edge rushers, although there are plenty of guys in this group that aren't really going to be edge rushers in the NFL, I don't think. But to me, the winners of the day, the guys who definitively did things that were good for their draft stock, included Malachi Lawrence. This guy might have been the biggest winner of the day. He's somebody that is creeping up into the top 100 on the aggregate big board, so he's already kind of moving up. And you can see that he's got pretty good size, 6'4", 253. 33 and 5/8 inch arms. So the arm length is there, which is not the case for everybody in this class. And his combine results were great. He ran a 4.52 sub 1.6 10-yard split, which is kind of the magic number, and very explosive. His vert and his broad were both excellent. So this is going to get attention, and I think he's definitely going to be a top 100 pick now. The question is, how far up does he go? Does he get to the second round? So that is an edge rusher worth paying attention to for pretty much anyone. Next guy who I think made some headway today was Trey Moore. This is more of a sleeper guy. He's currently like in the mid 200s on the aggregate, so he'll be happy to just get drafted. And he is definitely undersized. He's 243, 31 and 5/8 inch arms. So he doesn't really have the arm length that you're looking for, but he ran a very nice 40, 1.6 split, 4.54. So that'll get the job done. And his vertical was one of the highest of anybody in the combine this year. So Trey Moore did very well. You've got some speed, you've got some explosiveness. You can play in this league, even if you're undersized like he is. Next guy who I think did himself some favors was Donnie Denise Sutton of Penn State. This was a guy I talked about a lot before the season started, and he did not have a very good year. So he needs to start to turn some heads because the season he had with the Nittany Lions last year is not really going to do it for him. So he's got good size, 6'6", 256, 33 and a half inch arms, big, very important. And he's a good enough athlete for his size. He's very explosive. That's the thing that's really going to get attention here, right? 39 and a half inch vert, almost 11-foot broad. This guy's a freak athlete in terms of his explosiveness. He's not super fast, but at this size, it's a little less important that he has the 10-yard split. You'd like it to be a little bit higher, but I think this explosiveness will carry the day, and he is one of the most athletic edges in this class, so he may have salvaged his draft stock a little bit. So that to me was a winner. You've also got TJ Parker here of Clemson, and he's another guy who isn't a super athlete, but in a way that actually kind of works fairly well. So He's got size, 263, 33 and an eighth inch arms, good enough. The 263 is big because he's not super fast, although it's not bad either. 4.68 with a 1.61 10-yard split is okay. The vert and broad jump are a little bit lackluster, but again, because he is above 260, and also remember, he's probably going to add some muscle in the NFL. We are talking about a pretty young player here. He is going to, I think, get enough in his favor to where he'll be a good NFL player. And here's the thing. TJ Parker is on the fringe of the first round right now. If he did too good today, he'd definitely be gone by the time the Seahawks pick. But with a performance like this, which is good but not necessarily jumping off the page, he has a chance of being there at 32. So it kind of works out. And again, this is not bad. For a guy this size, I can live with a 4.68. Okay, so we got one more winner, and then we're going to get to some of the guys who are losers. That sounds a little bit harsh, but, you know, guys who didn't do so well today. Mason Reiger of Wisconsin was my last winner here. Good size, workable size, 251 pounds. It's okay. Arm length is okay, but his vertical jump is the thing that's really going to turn heads here, 40 inches. And even though he only ran a 4.78, which isn't great, the 1.61 10-yard split, I think, is going to do it for him. And you can see they actually have his athleticism score very high because even though he's not super fast over a long distance, the 10-yard split and the vert indicates that he's got quickness and explosiveness, which is what you really are looking for with these edge guys. Okay, so those are my 5 winners. Let's get to some guys who I don't think did themselves favors today. Wesley Williams of Duke is the first one here. He's like a traditional edge, 256, kind of got short arms, sub 32-inch arms, not great. But when you combine that with a 4.940 and a 1.68 10-yard split and low jump numbers, so very little explosiveness, I don't really know what the appeal is supposed to be anymore, right? Like, if you're going to be this unathletic compared to the other guys, then at least be big, but he's not that big. Maybe he can bulk up to like a little past 260, but the arm length is also a problem here too. So this is a guy the Seahawks met with, and he did not have a very good day today. I'm going to throw LT Overton in here as well. This is another guy who was getting a lot of hype before the season, but really didn't have a very good year. And he needed to do something to turn heads today. And by my count, I mean, there are some things here that are exciting. He's got the size. He's bigger than typical. So much so that he's probably not a traditional edge rusher in a typical defense. Arm length is good. The problem is he ran a 4.87 with a 1.7 10-yard split, one of the worst 10-yard splits of the day. So if you're looking at Overton and you know his production wasn't that great this last year at Alabama, you're looking for him to wow you with his athletic potential. And you're not really seeing it here. I mean, it's understandable that he's slow given the fact that he's a bigger guy, but you were looking for something to blow you away here. You did not get that. So Overton not doing himself favors. And Cassius Howell. And this is a little bit of a dicey one because, look, people are going to say, hey, he flew with that 10-yard 40-yard dash. And he did. He ran quick. 4.59 is very good. 1.58 10-yard split is very good. But his vert and his broad were terrible. He's not that big. And the fears about his arm length were confirmed. 30 and a quarter. So he's immediately got one of the shortest arm lengths of any edge in the NFL the moment he gets drafted. And yeah, it's everything we were afraid of come to life. All right, so now we're going to do defensive linemen real quick here, the interior guys, the tackles. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I know that Seahawks fans are not super engaged with this group right now, and it makes sense why. Unless Leonard Williams retires, there's no reason really to be. But some of the winners today, mostly winners from this group, Zane Durant, he is kind of your resident freaky interior lineman this year, although in fairness, he needs to be because he's so light, 290 pounds, short arms too, so there are issues, but in terms of his athletic profile, it's about as good as it gets for an interior guy, 4.75, 1.66. I mean, those are better than some of the edges, right? And he also had pretty good jumps as well, not elite, but very, very close to the top. So good athlete. Caleb Proctor also had a good day, although he's another undersized guy. The thing with Proctor is that he's got 33-inch arms, so it's a little bit more manageable there. And you can see, again, he's putting up numbers that are edge worthy in some regards. 168, 479. The jumps are really good, actually. He even did the 20-yard shuttle, which a lot of these interior guys do not do. 471. Yeah, 471. Grayson Halton also did really well. Again, another sub 300 guy, and this one has short arms, so buyer beware. Don't get me wrong, it's not all perfect, but 36.5-inch vert, 9 foot 6-inch broad. That explosiveness is going to get someone's attention, even if there are other things here that you're not crazy about. So Halton did really well. Capehart, this one, pay attention to this one. This guy's a nose tackle based on the way he played at Clemson. 6'5", 313 pounds, played nose at Clemson. Long arms, almost 34-inch arms. And despite being a nose tackle, he's actually a really good athlete. Almost broad jump 9 feet, 33.5 inches, 171, 485. This is a very good athlete for a guy who plays on the nose. So got my attention. You also had Albert Regis of A&M. Another kind of undersized sub 300-pound guy, definitely a smaller dude, but what he did at the vert, 34 inches and almost, well, I shouldn't say that, but 9 foot 8-inch on the broad is quite impressive for a interior lineman. So he got my attention. And final guy that I thought did well today was Caleb Banks. And the thing to remember, Caleb Banks is a big dude. He's almost 330 pounds, 35-inch arms. So running a 504 doesn't sound great. For a guy this big, it is, though. And getting 32 inches on your broad and 9 foot 6 on your broad, that's actually very good. So I'd say that Caleb Banks was a winner today. The only loser I could really find was Lee Hunter, the Texas A&M guy. He's got long arms, but not super heavy, like 318 pounds, and no athleticism to speak of whatsoever, right? Like, if Caleb Banks had these numbers, it would be a little understandable because he's so big, but Lee Hunter, 21.5-inch vert, 8 foot 4-inch broad, that's tough to get around. All right, linebacker to take us home here, and it's a good linebacker class. There's not necessarily a huge quantity of them compared to the other positions, though, so only a handful of winners, and then one guy who was kind of sort of someone who I think did not do himself any favors today necessarily. I'm not going to talk about Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese, by the way, because both those guys are going to be long gone by the time we pick. But suffice to say, Sonny Styles is remarkable. No doubt about that. So some guys that we could think about would be Caleb Elarms, or I think he's going to get a lot of attention after today. Decent size. Like, he's not really undersized at this point. Maybe the arms are a little short, but you combine that with his 447, 159, 40-inch vert, 10 foot 4-inch broad. It's going to go pretty well. I think that's going to go well for him. He also did a decent 20-yard shuttle, 441. So Caleb, I think, is going to start getting some attention here. He wasn't a high-profile name before today. I think that's about to change. Anthony Hill Jr., and don't sleep on this guy. This guy may end up being a viable first-round pick. And if he is, do not sleep on Seattle making a little bit of a surprise pick here with Anthony Hill. Good size, almost 240. Good arm length, workable arm length at the very least. And, I mean, look at these numbers. They're good. 451, 158, very fast, very quick. Not super explosive, but explosive enough. So Anthony Hill Jr., I think, is going to boost his stock after today. And then you got Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis of Pittsburgh. I've heard his name before. I wasn't really looking into him too much. He is undersized. He is 220, 31.25-inch arms, which that's not really what you want, admittedly. Is a little bit small, but in the modern NFL, that doesn't matter as much as it used to. And he's also very athletic to kind of make up for that. Had a good 40, good 10-yard split. Almost jumped 40 inches, 10 foot 9-inch broad. Hold on. Yeah. Sub 7.3 cone, 4.21, 20-yard shuttle's pretty good as well. So he's one of the best athletic linebackers in this class. Maybe that makes up for the fact that he's small. It could. I think that it has some possibility here. And this guy's not going to go super high. So you could see the Seahawks drafting him without investing one of their key picks. I understand Seahawks fans would not really be excited to see their team use their first-round pick on a linebacker that they don't need right now. But I think anybody could get behind the idea of getting a linebacker later. Okay, so those are the three guys who I thought were definitely winners. Now let's get to one guy that's mixed. Jacob Rodriguez, I thought had a mixed day. The Texas Tech linebacker who had a really good year for the what are they? The Texas Red Raiders, the Red Raiders. Decent size, but short arms, sub 31-inch arms. That's going to be a little bit of a concern. His 40-yard dash and 10-yard split were okay. Vert was good. Broad was three cones 6.9. Okay. You got the 20-yard shuttle 4.19. That works fairly well. So it's like a mixed bag, right? It's a little all over the place here. The arm length is definitely going to dock him because he was a tackle hound in college. But there's some other stuff here that is good. So I'm leaning positive on Jacob Rodriguez, but there is some stuff here that gives you pause. Like the broad jump is a little bit lower than you would like. And the final guy who I thought hurt himself today, the one linebacker who really stood out to me in a not so positive way, was Tarian York. This is another guy Seahawks fans are intrigued by, in my experience. He was getting some hype as a top 100 pick. Very small, sub 6 feet, kind of got that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. stuff going on. 226 is okay, but 30-inch arms is a big problem. This guy's very short armed, and that makes it harder to tackle at the next level. So, got to be careful with that. He only did the 3 cone and the 20-yard shuttle, and both went pretty poorly. So, he's not even that good of an athlete, it looks like, because you'd figure if he was going to do a good 40-yard dash, he would have probably done it, especially because he's so small. He needs something like that in his corner. So, that was not great. And that is about it for this first day in terms of running down who stood out positively, who still stood out negatively. Let me know if you guys think I missed anybody. Let me know if you guys are seeing things a different way. Those are the things that stand out to me so far. Tomorrow we'll have more players go. We'll have more to say. So hope to see you guys later on. I'll do a similar video to this tomorrow. Let me know what you think, and go Hawks.